Hey, hello and welcome back to my channel. As I've probably mentioned a dozen times already in previous videos, I'm feeling a little bit sick, nothing crazy. I just have a little bit of a sniffly nose, so if my voice sounds weird, that's why. But today I thought I would do a video talking about palettes that give me FOMO. Palettes come out all the time, obviously, and you can't buy everything. Most people can't, myself included in that. And so, you know, some palettes you're like, yeah, okay, that's nice, and eventually you forget about it. But these are the palettes that have come out for whatever reason, whether it was timing with other things, my financial situation at the moment that it released, or whatever. I didn't end up getting them, and they live in my head rent-free, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about them. And I have, like legitimately fear of missing out. I have a fear that I'm missing out on like the greatest palette ever, or a palette that I'm gonna love so much, and that I'm missing out on having this palette, using this palette, creating looks with this palette. And I get like legitimately jealous when I see other people using these palettes. It's like from deep within me. Like, how dare you use it, and how dare I not have it? So the first one, I feel like a lot of these I've probably talked about before, but number one at the top of this list, Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette. I really hope one day I'll be able to get my hands on it, and I also want their new, what is it? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the new neutral palette that they're releasing or have released, not 100% sure. I've pretty much heard nothing but positive things about Glaminatrix. Their like shimmery metallics look so beautiful. I mean, the color story of the Nocturnal palette looks divine. It is so beautiful. It's a grungy, colorful dream. I mean, I feel like it has my name written all over it, if I do say so myself. And I'm gonna be so upset with myself that I can't remember the name of this palette, but the new neutral palette that they're releasing looks stunning as well. Like a beautiful neutral palette. Gives me almost like Blend Bunny, the Dollhouse palette vibes in a way. It's like an interesting neutral palette. And if I had the funds, I would buy both of them, but unfortunately I do not have the funds right now. But they truly give me so much FOMO, and I'm jealous of everyone who has them. This next one is kind of like the brand as a whole, the palettes that they released as a whole, Adept. Specifically, the Heather Austin palette, it looks beautiful, but honestly, other palettes that they've released, the Ambient new palette. Adept is not a brand. I do have 3 palettes from them that I love. I think they're beautiful shadows. They're really expensive, number one, and number two, I just don't see myself honestly buying from them in the future. The owner has said a lot of shit on their Instagram. They've treated one of their disabled customers badly, and they just kind of give me a weird vibe. And while I am happy that I did buy from them before all that kind of went down and all that stuff, and I'm super happy with the palettes I have now, I don't know what it would take to get me to buy from them, but anyway, it's just not really like something that it's in the cards for me, at least not right now. But I have legitimately so much FOMO when I see them release stuff, when I see people post swatches of their palettes, when I see people use their palettes. They're one of the brands that I'm like always tempted to shame buy, and like secretly buy, not talk about it. I haven't done that, but I want to collect them all. Their shadows are so sparkly and so beautiful, and I just get, there's no other way to explain it other than I get so much FOMO when I see other people use them. And it also makes it worse, I feel, because I have some of their previous released palettes, and I know what their formulas are like, or at least the ones that I've tried, and I know that they're so beautiful. So it's like, I know what I'm missing out on, but it's fine. It's fine. There are lots of other palettes. Speaking of, a brand that I've been wanting to try more and more because I love what I have from Adept, but don't really want to buy from them, is Sugar Drizzle, specifically the Sugar Drizzle MILF palette. I feel like that name is like so dumb and so funny at the same time, but anyway, I've talked about this before when it released. It looks so pretty. They seem to have a similar like sparkly, shiny shadow formula that I feel like brands are kind of doing more and more, similar to Adept. All of their palettes look really beautiful. The MILF palette though has greens, has purples. It really has drew me in. And the new palette that they released, I did not prepare very well for this video because I can't remember the names of any of these things. The Sugar Dreams palette from Sugar Drizzle, the new pastel shimmer one, also looks so delicious. The MILF palette definitely has like #1 spot on my FOMO wish list, or FOMO, you know, the palette that I feel FOMO about from Sugar Drizzle. But the Sugar Dreams palette also is up there. Again, #1, it's a brand that like goes out of stock after it launches pretty quickly, so you have to be intentional about buying their shit when it launches, because you can't just go on their website and buy something, you know. So I've never been organized enough to recently buy any palettes from Sugar Drizzle, and I'm technically on a no buy anyway. But yeah, I'm so jealous of everyone who has those Sugar Drizzle palettes. They are definitely on my list of like brands and palettes that I want to try. Same with Unearthly. I feel like everyone tries Unearthly, uses Unearthly Cosmetics palettes, and are like, this is the best eyeshadow formula I've ever used. It's so amazing. Like, I don't think I've ever heard a negative thing about Unearthly, which makes me intrigued, and also makes me like, sometimes when things are so hyped up, I just want to try to like see what the real tea is, you know. Like, that's a little bit of the hater in me coming out, like, is it really that good? But I don't know, I think they have really interesting color stories, specifically the Sleepover palette. Again, I've talked about this before. You know me and pink eyeshadow, how much I fucking love it, okay? It doesn't matter how many pinks I have. Every pink eyeshadow palette that releases, I'm like, but what if I got it? And this one is no exception. It's pink, it has deep shades, looks like it has really pretty shimmers. It's like exactly up my alley. What else? I really like this palette. Don't have the name of it. I really love the color story of this as well. And I also love this one that I feel like it has a really interesting grungy color story, and I love the packaging of it. I think it's glorious and beautiful, and I just really, 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 really want to see what all the fuss is about in terms of Unearthly Cosmetics, and I feel like I'm genuinely missing out on something great the way people talk about them and the fact that I haven't tried them yet. So again, it's like on my list, but I just feel so left out that I haven't tried Unearthly yet as a brand. Same with the Cosmic Brushes new palette. I feel like I've heard so many good things about it. I think the color story is really interesting, kind of out of left field. I don't really know anything about the brand, honestly, or like when it launched I was like, do I know this brand? Do they regularly release eyeshadow? Like, don't know anything about them, but I've heard so many good things about it. I think the color story is so interesting and fun. And yeah, again, I just feel like I'm missing out on something great. This is an older one, but one that I thought I would get over, but I haven't gotten over it yet. The Pat McGrath Celestial Odyssey palette that released over like holiday 2021, I guess. I love, I cannot shut up about this palette. If you watch me, you know how much I love the Pat McGrath Celestial Divinity palette. I use it all the time. It's what made me fall in love with Pat McGrath eyeshadows. And definitely the color story of the Celestial Odyssey palette does not appeal to me as much as the Celestial Divinity. There's something about it, because I love Pat McGrath palettes and because I like have this palette in this format. The collector in me feels like I'm gonna miss out if I don't buy it. The Pat McGrath eyeshadow lover in me feels like I'm gonna miss out if I don't buy it. And I just feel like potentially, because I love the original so much, I'm missing out on this palette that could just be like another like huge love for me. Probably not the case. Like, probably if I got it, I would like it, but I would still love Celestial Divinity more because it was my original love. But I don't know, you know, sometimes you have those products that you just can't really like let go of. I don't know. Realistically, I probably won't ever end up getting it just because it's not something that's going to be like on the top of my list. But if something happens, and I know it's already been on sale, but if it goes on sale again or something, I don't even know if it's still available. But yeah, it just, like, I have a fear that I have missed out because I probably won't get it, but I'll just love all my other Pat McGrath eyeshadows, and I think I'll be fine. Ace Beauté is a brand that I have lusted after for so long. Their shipping is expensive, so I just haven't actually ended up biting the bullet, especially with their new reformulation. I really, really want to try the brand. I just think their color story curation is so well done, so well thought out, just 10 out of 10. And now everyone seems to love their eyeshadows so much more, particularly the new Tropical Vibes palette. I think that is what it's called, the green palette that came out recently-ish. It looks so beautiful. I want their like 12 pan or 10 pan color stories. I think they're so pretty. Maybe not the rainbow one, but the warm toned one, the pink one, and the purple one. Genius color stories, honestly. And the brand as a whole, again, I fear that I'm missing out on something great. And I kept being like, oh, I'll buy it for my birthday, I'll buy it for my birthday, and now I have so many things on my birthday list that I can't buy with no job. So anyway, I might have to miss out some more on Ace Beauté, but all those palettes and the brand give me FOMO. Glam Light also, I feel like Glam Light has been, like, I've been waiting for a palette from Glam Light to release that really, really catches my eye and really makes me want to buy it, because I feel like I'm not a huge fan of their like really bulky packaging, which is a deterrent. It's not like a 100% like something that would make me not buy some of their palettes, but it's really a deterrent for me to want to buy them. But their color stories their like shadows look really beautiful, especially their shimmers. And when the Michaela palette released, I really, really contemplated buying it. I didn't end up doing it, but it really caught my attention, and I still honestly really want it. I think the shimmers look beautiful. Their ice cream palette, that's pastel. Why can I not remember the names of any of these palettes? I really just wrote down vague ideas of what these palettes were. It was like Glam Light, Michaela, and ice cream pastel palette. Anyway, this palette, you know what I'm talking about. I know they look similar. Frankly, I don't give a damn, okay? I want both of them, and I just feel as though perhaps I'm missing out on like the best pastel palette ever. And from swatches and people using them, it just looks like really pretty. And my friend Carrie on Instagram, Carrie Does Makeup, loves the palettes that she bought from them, and I just wish I had them. I feel like I could love them, but it's fine. One day. And then finally, this palette is super old. It's like barely relevant anymore in the beauty world, but the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse palette, I still want it. I feel like Lunar Beauty has such beautiful packaging that it makes me want the palettes even more. I love the two Moonspell palettes that I have up here. This is the only like palettes I have from Lunar Beauty. I think the color story is really interesting and fun. It's like a fun, neutral, cool toned palette. I also really dig, when do I say that? I also really think the new neutral palette they released is really pretty, but it doesn't give me FOMO, like something that I abstractly could want, but it's not something that I really fear like I'm, oh wow, missing out on this great palette. But I do feel that way about the Eternal Eclipse palette. And the blush palettes, ooh, I want them so badly. I feel like they just look so beautiful, and I love a good blush palette, and I really want them. I don't feel as like intensely drawn to them as I do about the Eternal Eclipse palette. There's something about it that I really am like attached to in some weird way, but really like I feel like if I were gonna make an order from Lunar Beauty, I would just make one big order, get the two blush palettes and the Eternal Eclipse palette, just apparently spend all my money. So yeah, those are the palettes that give me intense FOMO, that I really feel as if I'm genuinely missing out on the fact that I'm genuinely missing out because I don't have them, which, you know, perhaps there's some things to unpack there, you know? I'll be fine if I don't have them. Think of all the palettes that I wanted in the past and don't have now, and I'm fucking perfectly fine. But I just, you know, then on the other hand, I think about the palettes that if I didn't buy, how sad I would be, but I'd still be fine. Anyway, these are just, you know, the things you think about, or at least the things I think about, because I love eyeshadow so much. And I really feel like I only get this way about eyeshadow palettes. It's not as much other makeup products. Although I will say I do have incredible FOMO over the new Pat McGrath blushes that are released. I think they're the freaking most beautiful things I've ever seen in the world. I love the Pat McGrath blush that I have now. Oh, if I had a job, I swear to God, I legitimately probably would have spent like $300 on all the blushes. I wish I was, like, I wish I was joking, but I don't know that I wouldn't have done that. Anyway, I really fear that I'm missing out on those two, but it doesn't fit with the theme of the video, so I'll just add that as a bonus item at the end. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know of any palettes that you have either FOMO over, or palettes that you really, I guess it applies to palettes currently available and not available anymore. What palettes give you FOMO that you wish you had bought, that you really want to buy because you have FOMO over them? Let me know. I always love reading everyone's comments, and I upload 3 videos a week usually, if everything goes according to plan. If you want to stick around some more, I always appreciate it, and yeah, I would love to see you in the next one. Bye.